This video, I'm going to be showing you very quickly how you can trade the CPI news event with confidence. This is very important. And of course, before I dive deep into the video proper, I want to first pinpoint that at Potential Miners International, we have three types of models that we trade. The first model is the project model where we trade the monthly wave and we pick ratio 1 to 18. And the second model is the investment model, and this is where we trade the daily and the weekly waves, and we pick ratio 1 to 6 on each of the on each of the waves or on any trade that we're able to enter. And the last model is what we call the cash flow model. And this cash flow model, this is where we enter trade within 24 hours and we pick ratio 1 to 3. It's more or less like an intraday kind of trading. And the essence for that is to ensure that while we wait for trades on the project account and the investment account, we have something that can give us cash flow within the day, within the week. I'm going to use an example to explain to you the cash flow model that we engage at Potential Miners International. For the cash flow model, we have two different frameworks. The first framework is what I call the cash flow money box framework. This is where we trade the 4 hours impulse wave. The second framework is what we call the news release or news event framework. So I want to show you an example of a trade that I picked this morning following the news release. And of course, the news was released around 7 a.m. and the news is on CPI year on year for GBP, year on year GBP. Now you will notice that we have CPI based on the impact. This is our focus, the CPI year on year. And the previous data was 3.6%, which means the average inflation year on year for GBP was 3.6. That was the previous data, and it was forecasted that the inflation should move to 3.7%. And of course, by the time the actual data was released, it was obvious that the actual data was higher than the forecast. And this is what actually gave us the impression that GBP is going to gain strength, and we want to leverage on this news release to pick trade and cash ratio 1 to 3 on the trade. So the implication of a trade like this is after you have analyzed the data release, you need to now identify a particular currency that you can pair with that particular currency that has the news release. So in our case, we paired, you can see that this trade it has already delivered. So we paired GBP with JPY. And the reason for that is because when we look at our fundamental standpoint, it was obvious that GBP has higher interest rate. And of course, we are in a risk-on environment where it is believed that investors, they are ready to risk their money. And of course, money is expected to be flowing from assets that are similarly safe haven to assets with high interest rate. So on the fundamental storyline, GBP is good to pair with JPY. And of course, on the sentiment side, it was obvious too that GBP has higher sentiment of a buy, as compared to JPY. And of course, by the time we now look at our technical analysis, looking at the trend evaluator, directional bias evaluator, it was obvious that GBP JPY is on a buy directional bias. Having said all of this, we now move to our time frame that we use for this news release. The time frame we use is the 5 minutes, and what we do usually before the news release, we calculate the average number of stop loss that we are to put on our trade. And of course, based on our prior analysis, we calculated that 20 pips is the pips we are to put on the trade. So the news was released around, I want you to follow me very carefully. The news was released around 7 a.m. And the way we trade at Potential Miners International is that we don't want to jump into the market immediately the news is being released. What we do is we analyze the news data, then we take a position as to the implication of this data on the particular currency that we want to trade. So given the fact that the CPI year on year was, the forecast was 3.7 while the actual was 3.8, it means that GBP is going to gain more strength. So we waited for 10 minutes. It is expected that you wait for average of 10 minutes. Average of 10 minutes, then you wait to look at what the market is going to give you. After 10 minutes, you will now be looking out for either of these three things. It's either you are looking out for a fair value gap, you are looking out for an order block, or you are looking out for an engulfing move. Of course, an engulfing move that breaks structure is what will give you another block. So we waited. This was, I want you to pay close attention and follow me carefully. This was 7 a.m. this morning, you know. But I actually analyzed this trade on my bed, right on my bed, for you to know. That's how you can, that's how flexible trading the forex market can be. So I was still on the bed, when I was doing this analysis, and of course, it's very easy. So 7 a.m. the news was released. We waited for the news data to price into the market. 7:05 we waited. We are still waiting. Then 7:10, this is where we now want to be looking out for this market, this data release. Was it able to create a fair value gap, another block, or an engulfing move? So around 7:15, 7:20, 7:25, by the time it was 7:30, we got an engulfing move. And this is our focus. This is where we mark as our area of emphasis now. Area of emphasis. Now, area of emphasis. So then you are going to take your trade, slightly below the high of that particular area of emphasis. And of course, like I said, our attention was to take, our stop loss was supposed to be 20 pips. So we position like this, then we take ratio 1 to 3. Ratio 1 to 3. You can see that, right, this trade has already delivered, and this is how we trade at Potential Miners International, engaging the news release framework of our cash flow model. You know, yesterday I did a video on the GBP card. We traded the news yesterday, and I said that uh, the trade can either be a losing trade or a winning trade. We don't know that. All we know is that we have followed our trading condition. And of course, this was the trade. They picked the trade from here, and all through yesterday, through the evening, it was just ranging around this, this time zone. Then, of course, by the end of the day for yesterday, entering to today, the trade actually take profit. This is how we trade. I said it on this particular channel for this particular video. I said if this GBP card trade ended as a profit, is not a proof that we have a winning system. The reason is because you cannot gauge your winning or losing based on one single trade. So what we advise at Potential Miners International is that you have to set your mind and set your capital such that you can take 20 trades with whatever trading system or trading strategy that you use. So as Po ten tial miners international, the expectation is that we don't consider ourselves winning or losing until we have taken 20 trades. However, because we have a very good risk to reward ratio, even within the week, you can calculate your profit based on the trade that you are able to take for that week. For instance, we took this trade now, GBP card, and we got ratio 1 to 3. It means if you are risking 5% of your account, that we recommend, if you want to trade the cash flow, you are to risk 5% of your account, which means that whatever amount you put, you are expected to divide it into 20, and you will take one trade with 5%. So if you took this trade yesterday, it means you have made 15% of your account, of whatever amount you put on the cash flow account. So now this second trade now that we have taken, we don't it actually ended as a winning trade also. The implication of that, what that means is that between yesterday and today, you have made two trades, you enter two trade, and it ended as a profit. If you have traded 5% of your account with these two trade, if you have traded these two trade with 5% of your account, what it means is that you gain 15% on the first trade and 15% on the second trade. Now, remember that your overall profitability will be gauged after 20 trade. But for you to really project, okay, to say for this week, did I close this week in profit or loss? You can see that if you started the trading on Monday and you were able to just pick these two trades, you have made 30% of your capital on the cash flow model account. Remember, you have three different accounts, one for project account, a project model, one for investment model, and this one that I'm explaining is for cash flow model. So this is how we trade at Po ten tial miners international, and the essence of this video is to show some of the struggling traders how they can really calm themselves down and probably look for a trading system. Note my statement, a trading system that works, a trading system that can really help you to trade at a relaxed pace. Imagine you are taking a trade based on the news, and you are taking it with some set of rules. There's no panic, there's no emotion there, you don't need to rush yourself. You look at your conditions. Once the conditions are met, you enter the trade. That is how you trade, and that is how you can trade and you stay in the forex market for a long time. I want you to subscribe to this channel. The reason being that I will be uploading different information that will really help your trading. And of course, I will be taking live trades like this, just like this one that I've taken. Is just because this happened very early in the morning. I was still on my bed, so I could not, record the video to send it to the general public. But subsequently, we might even need to take live trade together. And of course, this is what we are projecting for. We are trying to build a community of traders that will be successful and be consistently making money from the forex market. Till I see you in the next video, I remain Mr. Akimbode, the king of waves. Thanks for listening. God bless you.